Probably the most important term that we will talk about and that we have talked about this short story unit is the term theme. Remember that your purpose in reading a short story or any piece of fiction is to really ultimately figure out what was the author trying to say through his or her works. What was the message, or what was the central idea behind the story? Remember that every element that we've talked about, plot, characters, setting, style, point of view, symbols, all of these individual elements should reflect back to that all-important theme, the message. What was the author trying to say? Why did he or she choose certain characters' names? Why did he or she choose to use first-person point of view rather than third-person point of view? What were some of the symbols in the story? What was the setting? What kind of style did the writer use to portray this particular short story? There are two ways that an author can state the theme. One is explicitly, which is very rare, where the author comes right out and tells the audience what he or she was trying to say. I can think of one short story author named O. Henry that would do that in his stories. He would almost kind of stop his story and speak directly to the audience or the reader and come right out and say, this is what I wanted my story to say. However, 99% of the stories are told implicitly. You can see the word implied from that word, where you have to determine the underlying meaning of a work, looking at all the different elements, as I said on the previous slide. And most modern writers will present their themes this way. And as I've said a few times this semester, there is not one true theme from a short story. You know, each person comes to this particular setting of reading a story with our own experiences. And so the way I look at it may be different than the way you look at it. But if you can back up your reasoning, what you think the message is, through some of those elements, then that is an acceptable thing. That is an acceptable meaning that you got from the story. Remember that the theme and the subject are not equal. The subject may be Deep South issues, or the subject of Kate Chopin's The Story of an Hour might be female entrapment. That's the subject, but what's the theme? What's the meaning behind it? And that needs to be in one sentence. It does not need to be one word. So your subject can be one sentence, but your theme needs to be, one word, but your theme needs to be one complete sentence. And as you've looked maybe in the short story analysis that you're going to be writing soon, your theme becomes your thesis. What do you think the story means? What can you put into a true sentence? And that is theme.